So why dive into zturbo? Zturbo has amazing realistic images generation. It's a model that is ultra fast and easy to use there with a simple workflow. It's a 6B model, so it's low-end GPU friendly. It's a model that really punches above its weight there, and I'll show you why. And there's lots of LoRA. It's a model that has a lot of additional element that can be added to it. Just filter it correctly in CivicEye and you'll see them all. So this is my workflow. It's a workflow that's very simple. I'll share with you how it works, and we're going to be able to see how simple it is and how useful it can be. So let me zoom in so that we can see the different section there. But just before, in high level there, we can see there's the core generation. This is where mainly the generation happens there. And then there's the ControlNet section where I added it so that we can have a certain control of what we generate in the Z image there. I added even a little element here to enable us to do image to image. So when we do things like upscaling, it's going to help us out there. So that being said, to simplify things there, let's ignore the top part for now, the ControlNet, and just focus on the core generation there. So we zoom in, we can see the main core generation. We have the models, the LoRa, and so on here generated. So let's zoom in really close to see the details. So let's begin from the top there. We can see here we have the model being loaded, the Z image turbo model, the Quen clip model, and also the VE there, right? So these are the element where they don't really change in this case. That's why I put in the gray there, gray color. Reminder here, gray mostly leave as is. Green, we usually change it. Black, there's some selection to be doing there. Brown, some tweaking may be involved. So right next to it, as we move forward with the generation, we can see the LoRa. Again, just a power LoRa would enable us to load many LoRa there with different strain value. Then we have the clip which enable us to encode the text there, right? Basically to put the positive prompt. The negative prompt is unused in this case for the zturbo, so that's why I put it minimize. But otherwise here we can see it's the positive prompt that you put here. Right after we have the K sampler that generates the whole thing, and the decode and the preview image. We can see if we go back to the beginning here, there's the load image, which normally it's not used if we just generate a new image there. So it's just there for later usage for image to image. But still, I leave it there because it's so simple. You just have to switch between what you want to do there. Do you want to take this image and upscale it to a scale value, or do you just want to use a new size image there? So in your whatever the original image size is, you can put whatever width and height here, just as if it was an empty new image. Why? Because at the end we're going to be doing a denoise of 1.0, which is a full denoise. So whatever was from the image is going to be completely ignored there. So that's why it works. So let's start by just looking at this high level for the core gen. And we can see again, you select size, you select the LoRa, the prompt, and you generate an image there. So let's give this a little run there to try. I'm gonna ignore the ControlNet in this case just for the sake of example here. So I'm gonna go here and click bypass group node. So all this will be bypassed. So there's no ControlNet involved here. Let's try what it looks like. Let's skip this so that we can rapidly see the result. There you go. Here's the result there. Keep in mind, even if I did a fast forward, it was going really fast there, right? I mean, the K sampler went with 11 seconds, so it was not that long there, because the zturbo and the Z image, that's one of its special capability to generate really fast. So here we have an example here. So this is without ControlNet, right? Just with the prompt and the LoRa here. That gives us this, right? You can change the seed so that we can get another image there. Let's give that a try. There we go. A completely new image there. Has nothing to do with the original image here, right? So this is a brand new image. Now, that being said, let's try now using the ControlNet, right? So let's go up to the ControlNet there and see what the ControlNet can do for us. Okay, for the ControlNet, let's re-enable it. So set to always, so that we re-enable it. Now, I use the image here from this set here. We can see it has a character standing up there in water, but it doesn't matter. The point here is to use it as a reference, right? And in this case, I put the canny model, the pose, and the depth. And we can see a preview of each there, right? So the image will go through those different preprocessor. So we can see the canny, which is a kind of edge detection there. The pose, which is, the pose of the character. In this case, you can see the same pose here. And then you have the depth map there. So it detects what are the different depth element, 3D element in here, right? And then right below here, you have the different, I would say, strength used for each of these control, right? You can put 0, you can put 1. In this case, I would like to, for example, ignore the edge, ignore the depth, so 0, 0, and put some strength here into the pose. I want it to have similar pose, but ignore the look and feel there, right? Just similar pose. So you can see here, it's just going to use this as a guidance toward the generation. So let's see that happening there. So now that it's enabled, it connects all of this back into the model, right? I mean, you can see there the LoRa going up here, going through all of this, going back down in here. So that's why when you enable the ControlNet, now you have the power to control the generation there. So let's do the same thing and do a little generate here. There we go. We have a generated image there that was using the same pose, as we can see here. Similar pose to the reference image there. So really, you have a certain control over what you can generate here, a certain guidance toward the final image there. And you can just always change the seed to generate more to see which one you like the most, right? Now, that is part of the first element that we can do with this there. Now, once we have something that we like, right, we can try to upscale it, try to make it even more sharp, right? So let's generate a few more to see which one we really like, and then we can try to upscale it. Okay, so let's use this reference image there. I think it's a pretty good image. Let's give this one a try there. Let's try to upscale it to see what we get there. Now, it is a decent image, but we can clearly see as we zoom in, the resolution is pretty low, right? Because we have a 720 image there. Now, let's reuse this image as reference to upscale it. So let's save this image there. And then reload this image here as the input. There we go. Now let's use the same image for the reference. The reason why we want to use the same image is because we can now use it to force it to have the very same shape and form as the original image there, while increasing our denoise to a bit greater than the minimum. So let's give this a try, and we can even change the prompt a bit there. Let's use something basic, something that just showcase the increase in detail in upscaling there. And usually when I upscale, I don't use a LoRa because it can enforce certain style that overpower the just increasing the resolution, the details there. So I'll disable the LoRa. So let's give this a try. And one last thing here is true. When we upscale there, right, we want to switch this from a default resolution that we set at the beginning to something that is upscaled there, right? So I'm going to switch it to this one instead of this one. So it's using this path, and I'm scaling up by 2. All right, so this is what I'm going to be doing there. Last thing here, or rather before last, denoise, I'm going to bring this down to 0.4, right? I don't want it to change too much there, right? I wanted to keep the original image rather intact, but give it more details. Use the latent sampling to be able to generate that new details that we don't have right now. And last but not least, here for the control, I rather it control for the edge and the depth than the pose. The pose is pretty much straightforward already, right? So I don't care too much about the pose in this case. It's going to be more about the edge and the depth there. I want it to be have similar depth 3D, similar edge. Not this one. It's going to switch it to this one, so that's going to be updated, and it's going to match the basically original image here. So let's give this a try. Let's run this and see what we get there. So first, let's run it so we can see the update being done there, right? So edge is being updated. The pose, we don't care too much. The depth is very sharp, very clear, so that's great. We can see this being generated there. Here we go. So we can see here, the detail is way more sharper, more information than before, right? Whatever we had before, it's not the same at all. If I put side to side there, maybe like this, we can see very low resolution here. Now we see the things very sharp, right? So we can really see the difference there. Now, keep in mind, some element did change in the image there. You can see here, some new things appear there. It all depends on the denoise. How much denoise are you putting here? I do notice also that in this image, the edge was very minimal here, right? It almost had to focus only on depth. So in this case, because the image is so, I would say, dark, it only found these edges. We can change the threshold there so that it increase the edge finding, or we can try a different image there. So that's something we can do there. But I think you have a pretty good idea of how the upscaling with latent works with the denoise there. Now let me show you a few examples of different upscale I did so that you can see the different examples there. So here's an example of an image where I've loaded that is a bit brighter. So the same workflow here. The only difference is obviously in the ControlNet, I give it a different ControlNet reference, which is the same image as the one we're doing image to image. And we'll see the preprocessor having a better time at it there. So let's run this. So here we go, preprocessor, a bit more edge visible. And then if we go down here, it's normal, by the way, that's taking more time because we're doing a scale by 2, right? Scale by 2 of this image, so it's a much higher resolution image there. So let's fast forward this. So here we go. We have a much higher resolution image there. And again, let's compare with the original image. Here we go. We can see the details are really there with the skin pores. The strand of hair are much sharper. Look at the eyes, has much more details, much more resolution, right? We can see the skin texture. That is very nicely done. So definitely a better picture than the original image, while still keeping rather or very close to the original image look and feel there, right? I mean, the change is not too great that we don't recognize anymore the character. So there you go. And that's pretty much it. I mean, this is the whole Z image turbo workflow, right? You have the ControlNet here that you can enable, disable upon will, and then you have the main workflow: model, LoRa, prompt, generate. With the, do you want to upscale an image, or do you want to just use the resolution on a new image there with 1.0 denoise? On that, thank you very much and have fun generating some image there. Thank you.